Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another episode of Packer Select Podcast. I'm your host, Will Thomas. Today we're going to be covering over a lot of things, mostly training camp coverage, everything that I've noticed throughout thus far, now that we are into our second week of training camp with the Green Bay Packers. First off, as always, we're going to start with the rookies, things that I noticed. Jamon Moore, he's continuing to take reps with the first team, along with Jake Kumro, which is surprisingly stole a lot of reps as well, or actually earned. I wouldn't say stole, but Jamon Moore, he's just consistently making plays, man. He's doing everything right. I know I talked about one of the previous episodes that he looks a lot like Davante Adams throughout his route development, his explosiveness, his ability to be very twitchy off the ball, get separation, and do a lot of little things that really help someone who would normally be not fast, but he is every bit as fast, if not, actually, he's definitely faster than Davante Adams. And so I'm really excited to see that young receiver develop, especially since he's earning trust with Rodgers, which is, again, not an easy thing to do. But if you're a consummate professional, you know what you're doing, and you're a lights-out wide receiver. I mean, it happens. So it's like I think he was doing well. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, man, he is still making plenty of plays. He was one of the guys that jumped out to me in OTAs that really surprised me. I would have thought the wide receiver pecking order amongst the rookies would have been Jamon Moore, Equinemius, and then him. I think that he has probably the most potential given his physical attributes outside of Jamon. But, man, he was combining that 6'4" frame, that 4.3 speed that he showed off at the combine, and he was showing that he could not just apply that to fly routes. He was doing posts, he was doing slants, he was doing bubbles, he was doing anything that you wanted, and he looked great doing it. He looked fluid. He didn't look as boxy and as stiff as he appeared to me in college. I know he's been working out with Randy Moss, and that is insanely evident. I think his footwork is showing, his ability that he doesn't just have to rely on that freakish speed and that size in order to get separation. He's doing a lot of little things, exploding out with violent hips. I know I say that a lot, but that is such a huge asset for a wide receiver, especially a big wide receiver. Ask Keenan Allen, who is notably not the fastest guy, but man, he has so many finesse and subtle tweaks to his game that he can use that 4.5, 4.6 speed and look like a 4.3 guy. So Marquez Valdes-Scantling to me looked great. He even had this one end zone grab where he went full Megatron and he just completely skied. I know somebody actually quoted that on Twitter, but he actually skied up and got it. And it's just, he looked like a man amongst boys out there at times. Flipping over to the defensive backs, Jair Alexander is the real deal to me. Everything I'm noticing, he's just tearing it up. He's showing that he can play on the perimeter. He's definitely producing in the slot. He's constantly in Rodgers' back pocket, just gnawing his ear off, which is awesome because I think we haven't had that in quite a while. We need that full-blown heel on defense, and I think that we've had a lot of aggressive guys. They're definitely not they're definitely not betas. They're definitely alpha type defensive guys. But I think with Jair, he's adding a different level of like Richard Sherman-esque, like I want to hit you in the face after you get done talking to me type attitude. And I love it. So he's been playing well. He even had a really good pick where he jumped. I think it was an in route. He came across the middle and just snagged it away from Rodgers again, came up talking mess, and it was just a beautiful thing. Going over to Josh Jackson, again, he keeps showing his lengths. He shows off his length and his break on the ball, but he's struggled in man coverage, man. I mean, I know that's to be expected. I know I talked about that throughout the draft breakdown. I was super excited to get him when we got out there. He's phenomenal value, but I think with Patine's defense, my question was his defense calls for a lot of press man coverage. And even though I think Josh Jackson has the size and the speed to do so, and eventually he will come over, he's only 1 year outside of being a wide receiver. And he started his last year in Iowa as a DB, as a cornerback, and he proved that he could ball out. He got plenty of picks. He led the nation in picks, but he is amazing at playing the ball in front of him. And I do believe it's partly because of his length and also partly because he just understands how to play the ball. He was running the receivers' routes for him. He was going up, competing at the high spot, going to get the ball with them, and he looked like a wide receiver at times. I mean, he just looked absolutely incredible. And so in training camp, they're kind of seeing what he's good at and what he's not good at. And I know this isn't a concern right now because that's the purpose of training camp. You're supposed to try new things. What you're not good at, you're supposed to work on while you actually, go through the install phase or the install phases of the defense, the playbook. And so I'm not worried about him struggling in man coverage right now. I think he's still a phenomenal player. And I think that even in zone, he's still making his plays. And I think that I think it's unfair for all the videos coming out on Twitter and Instagram of him getting, either burnt on a streak route or anything like that. He's getting burnt by an elite wide receiver going up against an elite, if not the elite quarterback. So it's going to happen, especially as a rookie. There's a bunch of welcome to the NFL moments, and I think it's unfair that maybe he was, trying something new up in press coverage and he got burnt. This is a time to learn, and so I think he'll be phenomenal once he actually gets his weight underneath him and can learn to play man coverage on a more consistent level. But until then, if he can be Asante Samuel and play that zone, play that ball in front of him, I think that's a phenomenal asset to have. So I'm excited to see him pressing forward. Last but not least, the rookie, Cole Madison. I know that his absence has been kind of marqueed with a lot of question marks. Like McCarthy said, out of respect for Cole, I think I'll just leave it at that. I know there's a bunch of rumors going around. There are a bunch of hearsay, and if it is what I'm hearing that it is, I just wish the best for Cole, and I hope everything's going well for him, whether it's in football or out of football, who knows. So going on over to the pro side, I know it sucked getting to this part because I was dreading getting to this part, but Jake Ryan tears his ACL at the second padded practice. Man, that's a huge loss, especially to the base defense run support. I think he had a stat where he was only second to Luke Kuechly. I want to say in run support for linebackers or tackles for a loss for a linebacker. I can't remember, but I mean it's evident that say what you want to will about Jake Ryan, but in run support, there's nothing to say. He is lights out, and I think that base defense. I was excited to see him utilize his abilities because Patine's defense always has a lot of pressure come from inside, and he was an outside linebacker. He played D-line. He played a whole bunch of stuff at Michigan, so he has that repertoire to kind of get in and knife through, and I was really excited to see him use that size, strength, and ability to read the O-line and knife through to get quarterbacks and add another dimension to his game. I know he was working hard. He was busting his butt towards the offseason, so it is upsetting to me. It's definitely upsetting to him. I have no cause to speak on that, just because I know the amount of effort he probably put in. It's probably really demoralizing to him. But things will look onwards and upwards. He'll get healthy, and he'll have his chance to come back with the Packers and prove that he is the player and help contribute the way that we all know he can. So hope all is well with that, Ryan. I know, I know it's a big bummer, but hang in there, brother. Going on, who's going to replace him? I know Oren Burks has gotten first-team reps with him in his absence. You have Ahmad Thomas, and then you possibly have the shuffle of Josh Jones, which I'll get to, which why it may or may not be that as a replacement. I think Oren Burks, Thomas, Josh Jones all have their huge question marks in run support. I think their ability to get off blocks isn't the greatest. I think they are more athletic linebackers. They feel more of that Martinez type role, where they're definitely an off-the-ball chase backer. But I'd be extremely interested to see if they can utilize that and constantly build up or consistently build up their strength and technique to play that role that Ryan did, who was more of like a buck linebacker. So it'll be interesting, the one that takes on the flack. Getting to Josh Jones, I don't think he replaces him, but who knows? I mean, with Kentrell Bryce going down with his ankle injury, thankfully he was walking outside of practice, or in practice rather, without a walking boot. So, man, it's like he might come back sooner than later, but I expect it to be. He was walking pretty gingerly after he came back. We're just thankful it wasn't a knee injury or anything serious, just for his personal sakes. But normally I would say full steam ahead on Josh Jones, but for now, who knows? Maybe a veteran free agent signing like, an Eric Reed come into play, especially with Jones possibly taking more reps at inside linebacker with Ryan's injury. That's kind of to be determined. I know they said that, or Goot said that they're going to rely more on the young guys to fill out inside linebacker and let those draft picks play, which I think is smart. I think it's smart also to get a vet presence in there, but we'll see how that kind of shakes out. Going to the more defensive backs, Kevin King, baller. First play of training camp, interception of Aaron Rodgers. He's had a handful of other pass defenses. Man, everything that you'd hoped he would have been, he's being that right now. And he's proven that he's healthy. Hopefully his shoulder can stay healthy. I know he had shoulder injuries throughout college as well, so I'm not sure if it's a chronic issue, but I'm excited about his playmaking ability and everything the Giants step forward he's taking thus far in OTAs and training camp. And I'm telling you now, it's not just a bunch of beat writers hyping him up. He passes the eyeball test, passes the sniff test, whatever. He looks phenomenal. So if he can man that other outside cornerback position, which is what he's built for, I think the sky's the limit in terms of bringing back the rookies and undrafted free agents and, players like Lindsey Pipkins, Herb Waters, to develop in a trial by fire way like they had to last year. Devon House, I think he's had his ups and downs via camp, but I think it's unfair to speculate performance based off the social media videos. I think he's definitely had his ups. They just haven't been out there. But I guarantee you what's not showing where he's thriving is all of the little veteran spice that him and Tramon Williams are giving to those younger cornerbacks. There's a reason why these younger cornerbacks are playing well, and it's not just because they're phenomenal players. They are learning from two of the greatest not greatest, but two of the most wily vets that the Packers have ever had at DB, and they're great leaders as well. So they're picking up a lot of little things, a lot of little subtle tweaks from them. So I'm excited to see, where they progress forward. As of now, that concludes this Packers Select podcast. Again, I'm trying to keep these to 10 minutes or under, so you guys can get as much Packers content as you can, so you can get in, get out, know what you need to know about the Packers, and go on with your life. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Packers Select podcast.